Welcome to our coverage of LME Week, the largest annual gathering of the metals and mining industry in London. We're joined today by Thomas Keller, the Chief Executive of Codelco, the world's largest copper miner. Thomas, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Pleased to be here.
So we call copper Dr. Copper, as if it has a PhD in economics because of what it can tell us about the global economy. You're the Chief Executive of the world's largest copper miner. Tell us what you're seeing.
Well, I think there's in general a more positive sentiment than when the copper community met, in Santiago back in April. We've seen a growth in demand, a very healthy growth in demand in China in particular, exceeding expectations in that important part of the world. We are witnessing a modest recovery in the US. And in the case of Europe, we believe that there are signs that we've reached the bottom of the market. So in general, although we look at it cautiously, there's a positive environment, we believe, at present.
Are you seeing any signs of an impact from the US government shutdown on the US market?
No, I think that everybody considers that to be a short-term phenomenon. So it's not it hasn't had an impact, at least yet, on the market conditions.
So putting that all together, does that make you bullish for the copper price? Do you think we will see a market where the price rises from today's levels of maybe 7,300?
Not necessarily. We believe that the fundamentals in the foreseeable future are consistent with current price levels. So unless there are any surprises on the demand or on the supply side, we should expect prices around current levels, for some time.
So you see a supply and demand balance for next year? It's going to be in surplus, or
a small surplus as a number of new projects come into production, but the surplus that we're forecasting, are very modest when put into perspective when compared, to overall demand levels, and consumption levels of 25 million tons. So the forecast of around 300 to 400,000 tons per annum, really marginal in that context.
So tell me what that means for prices. We have a tradition that every year at this interview, you'll give us a forecast for next year for a range of copper prices for the year.
No, you're putting words in my mouth. I've never given you away.
You did. Last year you said
I was wrong.
You said $3 to $4.
Well, okay, I maintain that forecast then.
$3 to $4. No lower than $3 a pound.
I don't think, that, as I said before, unless, there are any shocks on the demand or the supply side, we should continue to see prices, moving around current levels.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit more about Codelco specifically. We've seen prices come down a bit. You have a very ambitious program of projects, of new investments. Give us an update on how the new projects are going.
We are currently carrying out 3 mega projects. All of them are in construction phase. Ministro Alice, which is the project we're carrying out in the Calama district in the north, is on schedule to start commercial production in December of this year. That project is a $3.2 billion project that will add, once it reaches design capacity, around 175,000 to 180,000 tons of fine copper per annum. And the other 2 projects that are under construction are the transition from open pit mining to underground mining in our Chuquicamata mine, which is also well on schedule. And the 3rd project is the development of the new mine level at our El Teniente underground mine. So of the 5 projects that compose our investment portfolio, we've got 3 under construction. And the other 2 projects, which are the 2nd phase in Radomiro Tomic and the expansion at our Andina mine, are both undergoing the environmental approval process as contemplated by Chile.
Tell me about the financing of these projects, because will that be a challenge for you, given that we have now copper prices coming down a bit?
Current price levels, are consistent with our forecast and with our financing plan, and which calls for a reasonable combination between internal generated funds and external funding. And that has been the norm over the last couple of years. It was last year, it is being this year as well, and we don't expect there to be any changes going forward. Always, with the idea or with the concept of keeping and maintaining our very strong credit rating in the markets.
Thomas Keller, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.